They called me Captain Crybaby in front of the entire party, but I wasn't the one who ended up sobbing that night. A single slice of frosted cake can destroy an officer's dignity unless she's carrying 10 years of bank statements and a grandfather's will that's been waiting in the wings. When my father threw cake at my promotion ceremony, I threw back account balances, wire transfer receipts, and a permanent no-fly zone for the whole family. They thought social media would bury me. I chose legal documents, financial records, and real spotlights to bury them instead. My name is Savannah Lake, and I've spent 10 years funding my family's failures while they erased me from every success story. The Grantham and Grove Steakhouse sits on the edge of downtown Denver, all dark wood and amber lighting, the kind of place where my parents could pretend Lake's Outfitter Depot wasn't bleeding money on Aurora's dying retail strip. 35th wedding anniversary. Mom wore the pearls I'd sent from Kandahar. Dad's blazer still had the price tag tucked under the collar. I could see its edge when he leaned forward to pour wine for everyone except me. "To 35 years," he said, raising his glass. The table erupted in rehearsed enthusiasm. My sister Tessa, fresh from another Iveron campaign launch, commanded the spotlight in a dress that cost more than most people's rent. She'd positioned herself perfectly, phone-angled for the inevitable social media post. Her PR-perfect smile locked and loaded. I tried to share something real. The water purification project in the deployment zone finally. Oh my God, wait until you hear about the Iveron watch campaign. Tessa cut through my words like they were background static. We're partnering with 3 Formula One drivers. The shoot in Monaco was absolutely insane. The table pivoted toward her like flowers tracking sunlight. Mom's eyes sparkled with the kind of pride that had never quite reached me. Dad nodded along, asking about impressions and engagement rates terms he'd learned just for her. I watched them perform this dance, this careful choreography of a functional family. My uniform felt heavy on my shoulders. 3 tours, 2 bronze stars, a purple heart I never talk about. 10 years of $500 monthly transfers that kept their store limping along, none of it visible in this room. The infrastructure we built will serve 12,000 people, I said into the gap between Tessa's stories. Clean water where children were dying from. Leon stood up. My father, named after a grandfather who'd fought in Korea, who'd taught me that honor meant something. He looked straight at me with those gray eyes that had once meant safety. I need to say something. The table quieted. Marla and I have been blessed with, well, we always say we have 2 daughters. But really, we've been blessed with Tessa. I just wish... He paused, took a sip of wine, then finished. I wish she'd been our only one. The steakhouse didn't stop. Glasses clinked at other tables. Servers weaved between chairs. The medium-rare ribeye on my plate looked exactly the same as it had 5 seconds ago, but something fundamental had shifted, like a combat zone's air pressure before an explosion. I processed it like a tactical situation. Target identified, complete rejection. Threat assessment, total loss of position. Extraction route straight line to the door. I stood up, folded my napkin, placed it beside my untouched plate. "Savannah, don't be dramatic," Mom said, but her voice came from very far away. I walked out. No scene, no tears, just tactical withdrawal from an untenable position. In my car, I pulled up 10 years of bank statements on my phone. $500, first of every month, regular as military time. Auto transfer to Lake's Outfitter Depot. The shop's accounts would show deposits labeled Tessa Investment Fund because that's how Dad recorded them. I had the screenshots from when I'd helped set up their QuickBooks remotely from base. My phone vibrated. A text from Tessa. "Drama queen much BTW, Dad's right." I scrolled through my photo cloud. Every family newsletter, every Facebook post, every Christmas card. Count the photos. Tessa at galas, at launches, at charity runs. Me in uniform, cropped out or captioned wrong. Our daughter at another work event, under a photo from my promotion to captain. The parking lot's fluorescent lights hummed like the generators at Forward Operating Base Chapman. Same frequency, same indifference. I sat there mapping the 10 years of evidence, receipts, transfers, emails asking for help with inventory, taxes, supplier negotiations. My ghost signature on everything that kept them afloat while Tessa burned through PR budgets and Instagram followers. The seed of what would come next planted itself right there in that parking lot, while my family finished their anniversary dinner and toasted to their revised history. A simple thought, clear as a mission brief. If I don't exist in their success, then neither does my support. The after-action report wrote itself at 0800 hours the next morning. Target financial and operational support infrastructure. Method complete withdrawal. Timeline immediate. I canceled the auto transfer first. 10 years of muscle memory resisted as I clicked through the bank's interface, but my fingers stayed steady. Recurring transfer canceled flashed across the screen. $500 would stay in my account come the 1st of next month. Next, the shared Google Drive. 47 folders of business analysis, supplier negotiations, tax prep worksheets, inventory optimization spreadsheets. All created during midnight hours between missions. Refined during leave time I should have spent recovering. Select all. Delete. Empty trash. The digital ghost of my labor vanished in 3 clicks. The family WhatsApp group got a single line. Effective 0800 hours today. All support operations cease. My phone erupted within minutes. Mom called 6 times in 3 minutes. I watched her name flash across the screen like incoming fire I chose not to return. Dad's texts came in all caps. What the hell is this about, and you can't just abandon family and answer your phone now? Tessa's approach was different, calculated. A voice message dripping with PR speak. Savannah, I understand you're going through something. The military can be so hard on mental health. We're here for you when you're ready to talk about what's really bothering you. Then came the tears. Mom's voicemail at 11:37. Sweetie, please, the store needs that payment. We have vendor bills due. This isn't fair to punish us because your father misspoke. You know how he gets after wine. By 1400 hours, they'd shifted tactics. The extended family network activated. Cousin Janet from Colorado Springs. Your mom's crying. What happened? Uncle Rob. Family is family. Kid, don't burn bridges. Aunt Patricia. I'm sure whatever they did wasn't intentional. I responded to none of them. Instead, I sat in my quarters at Fort Hartwell and built something else boundaries. Concrete ones. I blocked their numbers one by one, watching each contact disappear like targets confirmed, neutralized. Mom, Dad, Tessa. Then the extended network. The flying monkeys deployed to bring me back in line. The silence that followed felt like the moment after artillery stops. That peculiar quiet where you can finally hear your own heartbeat. Tessa escalated by 1500 hours. She took it public, the arena where she reigned supreme. Her Instagram story. Dealing with a family member who's chosen isolation over communication. The military changes people, and not always for the better. If you know someone struggling with PTSD or emotional regulation, here are some resources. Tagged with Thawrisker Mental Health Awareness. Family First, Tsar Military Trauma. The post included a link to an article, Understanding the Invisible Wounds When Veterans Push Away Love. She'd added a broken heart emoji and a photo of us from 3 years ago, me in uniform, her in designer sunglasses, my smile looking forced even then. The comments poured in. You're such a good sister for caring. Some people don't deserve family like you. Military trauma is real. Prayers for your sister's healing. My tactical assessment she'd weaponized concern, turned my service into a liability, made my boundaries look like symptoms. Classic information warfare. She'd learned well in her PR trenches. The smarter move would be to engage on her battlefield, to post my own version, to fight narrative with narrative. But that was her terrain, her rules of engagement. I'd learned in Afghanistan that you never fight the enemy where they're strongest. I had one more voicemail by 1800 hours. Dad. His voice shifting from anger to something else. The vendor payment bounced. We need that money by tomorrow or they're cutting us off. Stop being selfish. Selfish. The word sat in my quarters like an unexploded ordnance. I pulled up 10 years of receipts again. $60,000 total, not counting the free consulting, the emergency overnight transfers, the credit card guarantees I'd co-signed. Selfish was subsidizing their failures while being written out of their story. That night, I made 2 decisions. First, the battlefield would be one of my choosing: legal, financial, procedural, places where documentation mattered more than perception. Second, I would need allies. Real ones. Not the kind who disappeared when the shooting started. The concrete walls of my quarters at Fort Hartwell felt more like home than any Thanksgiving dinner table ever had. Tomorrow, I would begin planning the operation that would end this war. But tonight, I sat with the silence, with the weight of boundaries that felt like armor, with the knowledge that sometimes the only way to win is to refuse to play. Tessa's campaign intensified over the next 72 hours. She'd learned from the best PR crisis managers never let a narrative cool. Her Instagram became a masterclass in concerned sister performance art. Day 1, a throwback photo of us as kids. Me in army surplus from Grandpa Walter, her in a princess dress. Some people are born fighters. Sometimes they forget who they're really fighting. Sister love, jak military family, jater healing. Day 2, a video of her tearing up, designer mascara somehow staying perfect. I just want my sister back, the sister who existed before. Everything. If you're watching this, Savannah, we love you, even when you can't love yourself. Day 3, the nuclear option. She posted screenshots carefully edited of our last text exchange. My all support operations cease message, followed by her, "We're here for you," with my silence framed as abandonment. The caption, "PTSD is a thief. It steals our loved ones while they're still alive." Sharing this because visibility matters. Invisible wounds. Combat trauma. Family healing. The post went minor viral. 3,000 shares in 6 hours. Veterans organizations reached out to her. She did a brief interview with a Denver lifestyle blogger about supporting family members with military trauma. My service record became her content calendar. The extended family rallied behind her narrative. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly had opinions about my mental health. Facebook became a minefield of concerned relatives sharing articles about veteran suicide rates, tagging me in posts about getting help. My phone, the new number I'd switched to, buzzed. Lieutenant Jordan Pierce. "Captain, you seeing this bullshit? Your sister's all over military spouse Facebook groups asking for prayers for her struggling veteran sister." Jordan had served 2 tours with me. She'd seen me under actual fire, making decisions that kept people alive. She knew what PTSD actually looked like versus whatever performance Tessa was selling. "She's good at what she does," I replied. "She's a parasite in Prada. You need backup." That's when the fog of anger cleared and I saw the tactical error in my pure defense strategy. Isolation wasn't strength. It was giving Tessa an empty battlefield to shape however she wanted. "Actually, yes. Can you document any interactions you've had with me recently? Mental state, competency, that kind of thing." "Already done." "Got 3 others from the unit ready to swear affidavits that you're sharp as ever. We don't leave soldiers behind." "Captain." My commanding officer called me in that afternoon. Colonel Harris sat behind his desk, tablet showing Tessa's latest post. "Lake, this affecting your readiness." "Negative, sir. Family drama. Not service-related." He studied me. "Your sister's making it service-related. She's got half of Denver convinced you're having a breakdown." "I'm aware, sir." "You need me to make a statement I don't like civilians using military trauma as a Facebook prop." "Not yet, sir, but I'll keep that option ready." He nodded. "For what it's worth. Lake, I've seen actual PTSD. This isn't it. This is you finally growing a spine with your family. About damn time." That evening, the situation escalated beyond social media. Mom and Dad appeared on a local morning show segment about families dealing with veteran mental health crises. They sat on a beige couch, holding hands, Dad in the same blazer from the anniversary dinner, Mom clutching tissues she never actually needed. "We just want our daughter to get help," Mom told the host. Ever since her last deployment, she's been withdrawing, cutting off support systems. She was helping with the family business, Dad added, voice cracking perfectly on cue. Then one day, she just stopped, deleted years of work. "We're about to lose everything, but we're more worried about losing her." The host, a blonde woman with aggressive sympathy face, nodded gravely. "And you think this is related to her military service?" Tessa appeared via video call, positioned in front of a bookshelf staged with psychology texts she'd probably bought that morning. As someone who works in communications, I've seen how trauma can manifest as aggression toward those closest to us. "We're not giving up on her." They'd turned me into content, a hashtag, a cautionary tale. Save Savannah started trending locally. My quarters felt like a forward operating base under siege, except the mortars were notifications and the enemy wore designer clothes instead of tactical gear. But every siege has a weakness. Theirs was simple. They'd built their entire narrative on a lie. I wasn't broken. I wasn't traumatized into dysfunction. I was done. And I had something they didn't expect: proof. 10 years of it, digitized, backed up, and ready to deploy. The question was timing and terrain. The promotion ceremony was in 2 weeks. They'd assume I wouldn't want them there, that I'd hide from the public eye they'd poisoned. They assumed wrong. The first ally to show up in person was Jordan Pierce. She arrived at my quarters at 1900 hours with Chinese takeout and a flash drive. 7 sworn statements from the unit, she said, dropping onto my couch. Mental fitness, leadership capability, 0 signs of PTSD or emotional dysfunction. Colonel Harris threw in his own evaluation for good measure. "Jordan, I've got your 6. Captain, always have." She pulled up her phone. "Also, that sister of yours, she's been messaging veterans groups asking if anyone's noticed concerning behavior from you, fishing for dirt." The second ally came as a surprise. Miles Hart, the civilian contractor who'd worked on base infrastructure, knocked at 2100 hours. "Captain Lake, sorry to bother you." I saw the news clip. He shifted uncomfortably. "Look, I'm just an engineer, but I've watched you coordinate supply chains that would make Amazon jealous. Whatever they're saying about your mental state is bullshit." He held out a manila folder. "I mapped your family's business data against your deployment schedule. Every major improvement coincides with your leave periods. Every decline matches when you were overseas. The correlation is absolute. Why would you do this?" "Because I hate liars who steal credit." My ex-wife did something similar. Told everyone I was unstable after I caught her embezzling from my company. He pointed to a graph. "This timeline shows every file you created, when, and from what IP address. 90% originated from military bases. That's not speculation, that's forensic data." I studied his work. Clean, precise, irrefutable. "Miles, would you be willing to present this if needed?" "Captain, it would be my pleasure." The third ally was the one that changed everything. My phone rang at 2300 hours. Unknown number. Florida area code. "Savannah." The voice was gravel and steel. "Brigadier General Walter Lake, retired. My grandfather." "Grandpa, I've been watching this circus. Your father, my son, has forgotten what honor means." "Sir, I'm flying to Denver tomorrow, bringing Darren Cole, best military family lawyer in the Southeast. We're going to fix this properly." "It's just family drama. I can handle Savannah Marie Lake. You listen to me. They're attacking your service record to cover their theft. That's not family drama. That's a violation of everything the Lake name stands for." His voice carried the weight of 3 wars, 5 decades of service. "I've updated my will. Leon gets nothing. Neither does that PR princess granddaughter. The estate goes to a trust for female veterans, and you're the permanent chair. Grandpa, you don't have to. Already done. Notarized this afternoon. Darren's bringing copies. But that's the long game. For the immediate situation, we're going with Operation Spotlight." "Operation Spotlight." Your promotion ceremony, public forum, official record, media presence. We're going to let them hang themselves with their own rope. The pieces clicked together. They'll come. They won't be able to resist the opportunity to perform concern in front of my command. Exactly. And when they do, we'll be ready. Darren's preparing cease and desist orders for the defamation. I've got every bank record from the last decade showing your transfers. Miles, yes. I called him, has the forensic data ready for presentation. How did you... I still have contacts. Captain, half your unit has been feeding me intelligence. Good soldiers, loyal to good leaders. There was pride in his voice, the kind I'd chased my whole life and never heard from my parents. 2 weeks to prepare, he continued. I need you to do something that might feel wrong. Sir, invite them. Officially. Through the base's formal channels. My stomach turned. Invite them to my promotion. Make it public. Post it to your social media, the accounts you've been silent on. Despite recent challenges, family is welcome to celebrate this milestone. Give them rope. Savannah. The tactical brilliance of it spread out before me like a battle map. They'd come thinking they controlled the narrative. They'd perform their concern in my space, in front of my people, on official record. And if they don't take the bait, your sister's built her entire image on being the caring family hero. She can't not come. It would destroy her narrative. He was right. Tessa had painted herself into a corner with her public campaign. Refusing to attend would make her look petty. Attending would put her in our arena. Grandpa, about the will. The Eleanor Valor Foundation, named after your grandmother. She'd have been proud of you, standing up like this. Your father forgot where he came from, but you didn't. After he hung up, I sat in the darkness of my quarters, feeling the shape of what was coming. 2 weeks to prepare. Allies assembled, evidence organized, battlefield chosen. I opened Instagram for the first time since Tessa's campaign began, posted a single photo, my promotion invitation, formal and official. Despite recent family challenges, I'm honored to celebrate this achievement with all who've supported my journey. Family is welcome. Within minutes, Tessa had liked it and commented, "So proud of you, sister. We'll be there." The trap was set. The officers' club at Fort Hartwell glowed with formal warmth-polished wood, brass fixtures, flags positioned with mathematical precision. 1800 hours, December 15th. My promotion ceremony from captain to major, though that detail would soon become secondary. I stood near the podium in dress blues, every ribbon aligned, every brass button reflecting the overhead lights. Jordan flanked my left. Miles had positioned himself near the projection screen we'd requisitioned, and Grandpa Walter commanded the front row in his own dress uniform, every star and medal earned across 30 years of service. They arrived at 1820 hours, late enough to make an entrance, early enough to seem concerned and supportive. Mom wore black, a choice that screamed grieving mother to anyone watching. Dad had his phone out, recording before he'd even cleared the door. But Tessa had orchestrated herself perfectly designer dress in soft blue, tissue packet visible in her purse, makeup designed to run attractively when she inevitably cried. Savannah! She rushed toward me, arms open for a hug that would photograph beautifully. I stepped back, maintaining military bearing. Thank you for coming, I said, voice carrying across the room. Several phones were already recording Tessa's audience, but also mine. The ceremony began with standard protocol. Colonel Harris spoke about leadership under fire, about logistics operations that saved lives. He never mentioned family, never acknowledged the cluster of tension in the third row where my parents sat rigid with anticipation. Then came the moment they'd waited for. The MC, Major Davidson, announced, "Before we conclude, Captain Lake has requested to address the gathering." This wasn't standard. Tessa's eyes sharpened. She smelled content. I took the microphone. "Thank you all for being here. Before I accept this promotion, I need to address something that's been affecting not just me, but the integrity of our service." Mom shifted forward. Dad raised his phone higher. Tessa had her own phone out now, framing her shot. Some of you have seen recent social media posts suggesting I suffer from PTSD, that I'm mentally unstable, that I've abandoned my family due to military trauma. I let the words hang. These claims have been made by my immediate family, who are here tonight. Tessa was already typing, probably drafting her concerned sister at military event post. I'd like to set the record straight, for the official record, with evidence. Miles stepped forward with the remote. The first slide appeared 10 years of bank statements. Personal information redacted, showing regular transfers to Lake's Outfitter Depot. $60,000 over 10 years, I stated. My financial support kept my family's business operational. Second slide, email threads. Correspondence showing weekly business consulting. Inventory management, tax preparation all performed remotely from deployed locations. Third slide, metadata from shared drives. Forensic analysis showing 90% of business improvement documents originated from military IP addresses during my service. The room had gone silent except for the hum of the projector. Now, I continued, let's address the timeline of my supposed mental breakdown. Fourth slide. Tessa's social media posts aligned with dated transactions. My sister's claims of family support coincide precisely with my financial transfers. When I stopped paying, I suddenly developed PTSD. Tessa stood up. Savannah, this isn't the place. Actually, it is. Colonel Harris's voice cut through. Captain Lake requested this time to address defamation affecting her military record. Continue, Captain. But I was done with slides. It was time for the finale. I have here, I held up a folder, 7 sworn statements from my unit confirming my mental fitness, a psychological evaluation from base medical clearing me of any PTSD diagnosis, and I nodded to Grandpa Walter. He stood, his presence commanding immediate attention. A notarized codicil to the Lake family estate. My son Leonard, his wife, and daughter Tessa are hereby disinherited for conduct unbecoming the family name. Dad shot to his feet. You can't. The Eleanor Valor Foundation for Female Veterans will receive the entire estate. Major Lake, he emphasized my coming rank, will serve as permanent chair. That's when it happened. The moment that would define everything. Mom grabbed the ceremonial cake from the side table, a small sheet cake meant for after the ceremony, and hurled it at me. It hit my chest, white frosting exploding across my ribbons. Captain Crybaby! Dad's voice boomed across the dignified space. You've been a disappointment since birth. Tessa's the only daughter we needed. The phones caught everything. The officers present stood frozen. But Tessa, master of PR, tried to salvage it. She's obviously triggered something in them, she said to her phone, still live streaming. This is what I mean about military trauma affecting families. Ma'am. An unfamiliar voice. Darren Cole stepped from the back, legal papers in hand. I'm serving you with cease and desist orders for defamation, harassment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. I stood with cake frosting dripping down my dress blues, maintaining perfect military bearing while chaos erupted around me. The phones kept recording. Good. Let them see everything. Major Davidson, I addressed the MC calmly. Please note for the official record that my family has disrupted a military ceremony with assault and verbal abuse. Davidson, a seasoned officer who'd seen combat zones calmer than this, immediately pulled out the incident log. Noted, Captain. Time 1847 hours. Witnesses 43 present. I turned to face the room, frosting still sliding down my ribbons. I request 3 minutes for a statement of record. Colonel Harris nodded. Granted. I wiped a streak of icing from my nameplate and spoke directly to the assembled crowd, my fellow officers, but more importantly, the cameras. My name is Captain Savannah Lake. I have served 3 tours, earned 2 Bronze Stars, and a Purple Heart. I have never been diagnosed with PTSD. I have never experienced mental breakdown. I clicked the remote. New slide, consolidated financial analysis. What I have done is subsidize a failing family business while being erased from its success. Every improvement attributed to my sister Tessa coincides with my direct involvement. Click. Email from Dad, dated 3 years ago. Don't mention you helped with the supplier negotiations. Tessa needs this win for her portfolio. Click. Screenshot from Mom's Facebook. So proud of Tessa for saving the family business. Posted while I was handling their tax audit from a base in Afghanistan. My crime, I continued, was setting boundaries, stopping the money, refusing to remain invisible. Tessa tried to interject, still performing for her phone. This is exactly the paranoid thinking we've been. Ms. Lake! Colonel Harris cut her off. You're disrupting an official military proceeding. Security, please escort. Wait. I held up my hand. Let her finish. Let everyone see exactly who she is. Tessa, thinking she'd won a point, continued her live stream narration. My sister is clearly having an episode. This is why we came. To support. Her phone erupted with notifications. Her face changed as she read the screen. The comments had turned, Girl, your sister just showed receipts. $60,000 and you took credit. This is disgusting. She served our country and you used her. Then, the killing blow a notification that Everon's CMO was watching the stream. Tessa's eyes widened as she saw her boss's comment. We need to discuss this immediately. My mental health is excellent, I stated, pulling out the medical evaluation. Confirmed by base psychiatric services yesterday. What's not excellent is theft of valor by proxy using someone's military service as a weapon against them while stealing their financial support. Darren Cole stepped forward again. The legal documents being served include detailed forensics of financial fraud, defamation with malicious intent, and cyber harassment. We're also filing for a restraining order. Dad lunged forward, trying to grab the microphone. 2 MPs materialized. Jordan had thoughtfully arranged their presence and caught his arms. Sir, you need to calm down, one said. Get your hands off me, I'm her father. And you're disrupting a military ceremony after assaulting an officer with food. The MP replied, That's grounds for removal and potential charges. Mom started wailing, not crying, but performing grief like a community theater actress. How can you do this to your family? I looked at her directly. You did this. When you chose to erase me. When you let Dad say he wished I didn't exist. When you threw cake at my promotion. But the store will lose everything. You lost everything when you lost your integrity. I turned back to the room. My grandfather, Brigadier General Walter Lake, established the Eleanor Valor Foundation today. It will support female veterans who've been marginalized, erased, or exploited. Consider my family's behavior the inspiration. Grandpa Walter stood again. I'd like to add something to the record. My son, Leonard Lake, has forgotten that honor isn't just a military value. It's a human one. What I've witnessed today confirms my decision. He pulled out an envelope. The will is already filed. Irrevocable. Leonard, you get nothing. Not the house in Florida. Not the investments. Not even your mother's jewelry. It all goes to veterans who actually deserve support. Tessa's phone rang her boss. She declined it. It rang again immediately. You should take that, I said. Explain to Iveron how you built your reputation on stolen valor and $60,000 of someone else's money. She answered, walking toward the exit, her voice shifting to damage control mode. But everyone could hear her boss's tone through the phone, sharp, angry, final. The MPs escorted Dad toward the door. Mom followed, still wailing, still performing for an audience that had stopped watching her and started recording everything else instead. As they passed, Dad spit out one last poison dart. You're not my daughter. No, I replied, loud enough for everyone to hear. I'm not. I'm Major Savannah Lake, United States Army, and you're just a man who threw cake at his daughter because she stopped bankrolling his failures. The room hung in that particular silence that follows an explosion, everyone breathing but no one speaking. I stood at the podium, cake frosting drying on my medals, and pulled out my phone. For the record, I announced, I'm establishing a public boundary. I opened my contacts, projecting my screen to the display. As of 1900 hours, my former family members are designated as no contact. All communication must go through legal counsel. Delete, delete, delete. Each name vanished from my phone as the room watched. Captain Lake, Major Lake. Colonel Harris corrected himself. The Public Affairs Office should document this incident officially. We don't tolerate harassment of our officers, especially not during formal ceremonies. The base PAO, Captain Rodriguez, already had her tablet out. I'll need statements from witnesses. Also, Captain Major Lake, we should issue a formal response to the defamation campaign. Make it clean, I said. Facts only. Service record, mental health clearance, confirmation of tonight's incident. No editorializing. Through the windows, I could see Tessa in the parking lot, pacing frantically while on her phone. Even from here, her body language screamed career disaster. Her carefully curated image, the caring sister, the family hero, the successful PR executive, had detonated in front of a live audience. Miles Hart approached with paper towels. For your uniform, Major. As I cleaned the frosting from my ribbons, Jordan pulled up something on her phone. Ma'am, you need to see this. Tessa's live stream is backfiring spectacularly. The comments were brutal. She threw cake at her sister's promotion. $60,000 stolen. This family is trash. Ivaron, you employ this person. The stolen valor here is insane. Then, the corporate death knell Ivaron's official account had commented, "We are investigating this matter and taking appropriate action. Ivaron does not condone fraud, harassment, or misrepresentation." Darren Cole reappeared, having served all papers. Major Lake, your father made threats in the parking lot. We have 3 witnesses and video. Would you like to pursue a restraining order? Yes, immediate and comprehensive. Already drafted. Just need your signature. As I signed, Grandpa Walter placed his hand on my shoulder, the first physical contact I'd accepted all evening. Your grandmother would be proud, he said quietly. Then, louder, addressing the room. The Eleanor Valor Foundation will be fully funded within 30 days. Any female veteran who's been financially exploited or professionally undermined can apply for support. Major Lake will review all applications personally. Captain Rodriguez looked up from her tablet. Major, the base commander wants to issue a statement. He's upset about the cake incident. Says it's assault on an officer and he's considering pressing charges on behalf of the command. Tell him I'll cooperate with whatever he decides. My phone, the new number, only 5 people had buzzed. An unknown number, but the area code was familiar. Denver Media. Major Lake. This is Channel 7 News. We've been following your sister's social media campaign about your alleged PTSD. We'd like to offer you the opportunity to respond. I looked at Jordan, who nodded, then at Grandpa Walter, who gave me a slight smile. Tomorrow, 0900 hours, at the base PAO office. Bring your cameras. Through the window, I watched my parents' car speed away, Tessa's rental following close behind. They'd returned to their world, but that world was already collapsing. The store would fail within weeks without my support. Tessa's career at Ivaron was over. No PR firm keeps someone whose fraud went viral. Dad's rage would turn inward. Mom's tears would find no audience. But that wasn't my problem anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Harris announced, I believe we have a promotion to complete. The room reorganized itself, phones tucked away, order restored. I stood at attention while he read the official orders, while Jordan and another officer replaced my captain's bars with Major's oak leaves. The same uniform that had been assaulted with cake now bore new rank. Major Lake, Harris said formally, your conduct tonight demonstrated exceptional bearing under extreme personal attack. That's leadership. The applause started slowly, then built. Not the polite golf clap of military ceremony, but something real. These people, my actual family, had watched me stand under fire and refuse to break. Captain Rodriguez showed me her tablet. The official statement is ready. Also, that video of your dad yelling Captain Crybaby. It's already been viewed 12,000 times. The comments are, supportive of you. I looked at the frozen frame of my father's face, twisted with rage, cake in his hands. Once, that face had meant safety. had meant home. Post the statement, I said. Let it counter whatever narrative they try to build. As the ceremony concluded and people began to disperse, Jordan handed me something, a small gift bag. What's this? From the unit. We took up a collection. Inside was a nameplate, Major Savannah Lake, and below it, in smaller text, no fly zone established. For the first time that night, I smiled. The officers' club had emptied except for the cleanup crew and my real family, the ones who'd stood witness. Grandpa Walter approached the podium where I still stood. Cake frosting now dried into crusty streaks on my dress blues. Eleanor would have done the same thing, he said, reaching into his jacket. She never let anyone diminish her service either. He pulled out a small wooden box, worn at the edges. Inside lay a pair of wings, not military issue, but something older, more personal. Your grandmother's, he explained. From when she flew supply runs in Korea, before women were officially allowed in combat zones. They tried to erase her contributions too. Said the nurses were the real heroes, not the women who flew them in. He pinned them to my uniform, right above the frosting stain. Wear these tomorrow, for your interview. Grandpa. No arguments. Major. You've earned the right to her legacy. He straightened to his full height, still formidable at 78. The foundation paperwork is filed. First board meeting is next month. We already have 90 applications from female veterans, women who've been written out of their own stories. Jordan appeared at my elbow. Ma'am, base security just called. Your family tried to re-enter the base. They were turned away per the restraining order. Let them try, I said, feeling nothing where hurt should have been. They can't reach me anymore. Miles Hart finished packing up the projection equipment. Major Lake, those financial forensics I compiled. 3 other veterans have already reached out. Seems your family isn't the only one stealing valor by proxy. Send them to Darren Cole. The foundation will help them. As we walked toward the exit, Captain Rodriguez showed me her phone one last time. Tessa's Instagram is gone. Deleted. Everon's PR announcement went live 20 minutes ago. They've terminated her employment effective immediately for violations of company ethics and values. The night air hit cold and sharp, cleaning the last of the evening's chaos from my lungs. The parking lot stretched empty except for our small group. No ambush, no dramatic confrontation. Just space and silence and the distant sound of reveille practice from the barracks. You know they'll try again, Jordan said. People like that don't just give up. Let them. Every attempt just adds to the restraining order documentation. Grandpa Walter's rental was parked next to mine. Before getting in, he turned back. Savannah, one more thing. Your parents called me 15 times on the drive here, left messages about how I'm destroying the family. And I told them the family was destroyed the moment they threw cake at a United States Army officer. He smiled, sharp as winter. Your mother cried. Your father threatened to contest the will. Tessa said she'd ruin my reputation. Grandpa, I'm sorry. Don't you dare apologize for their choices. His voice carried the same command authority that had earned him stars. You stood your ground. You told the truth. You refused to be erased. That's not destruction. Major, that's justice. The next morning's interview would go viral. My calm recitation of facts against the backdrop of my still-stained uniform that I'd deliberately chosen to wear. The foundation would fund 27 women in its first year. The family business would close within 6 weeks. Tessa would move to Portland and rebrand herself as a life coach, never mentioning her PR past. My parents would sell the house, blame me in every conversation, and eventually become strangers even to each other. But standing in that parking lot, none of that mattered yet. What mattered was the weight lifted from my shoulders, the cluster of real family around me, the wings on my chest that belonged to a woman who'd also refused to be erased. Grandpa Walter saluted crisp, perfect, mint. I returned it with the same precision. Carry on, Major. Always, sir. The sound of my footsteps on asphalt was sharp and clean and mine. No one calling them too loud. No one saying they wished those steps had never existed. just the steady rhythm of someone who'd finally stopped paying for the privilege of being forgotten. I got in my car, started the engine, and drove toward quarters where no one could throw cake at my achievements, where my name was on the lease and the nameplate and the future I was building one boundary at a time. The rearview mirror showed the officers' club receding, lights still on for cleanup. Somewhere behind those lights lay the remnants of frosting, the ghost of my family's last attempt to diminish me. Let them clean it up. I had work to do, women to fund, stories to restore. The road ahead stretched dark and certain. I drove into it wearing my grandmother's wings and my new rank and the absolute certainty that some bridges, once burned, light the way forward better than they ever held the past. Major Savannah Lake, no fly zone permanently established. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing to the channel and sharing your thoughts. Your experiences and perspectives make these stories richer for everyone. Until next time, remember sometimes the best family is the one you choose, not the one you're born into.